All right, guys, section three, norms. It's going to be a relatively quick section, kind of going through with culture. These are big for culture, and we're going to use these. It's kind of introducing you to these terms. Excuse me. Kind of introducing you to these terms because we're going to use these as we move forward in the culture chapter when we start to look at other cultures around the world. All right, so let's look at what some of these are when discussing norms. So first off, what are norms? So these are rules defining appropriate and inappropriate behavior in a lot of, like I said, ways to behave in specific situations. I don't know, the picture on the slide where anybody's ever been around tennis or seen tennis after a match, what do? You go and you shake hands. All right, it's the appropriate thing to do in that situation. Think about anytime anybody said to you that that's not the norm or that's abnormal behavior, because what are you doing in those specific situations, right? And there's different types of norms that we're going to talk about in this slideshow, but this overarching idea of how to behave in specific situations. We're going to talk about also when you violate social norms, what that is, and then what might be the ramifications for that. So let's look at two types of norms here that we want to take a look at are folkways and mores. All right, they're not mores, they're mores. And folkways, I always say the best way I think of these are kind of like customs. They're norms that lack moral significance. When you break them, it doesn't have serious repercussions. These traditions, but they're still expected behaviors, and it could be everything from dress. Okay, I mean we have a wide range of dress, but think about different dress in specific situations. Um, Raising your hand in class could be considered a folkway. It's a tradition. I don't know if it'd venture into the mores, but those types of things. And then, so what are mores? These are norms that have moral dimensions to them. All right, and that should be followed by members of a society. I think of things like they probably put under here like abusing drugs, or like if you are driving in an area of town where it's 25 and there's a lot of kids playing, like going 90 miles per hour. It's not only a bad legal decision, but it's immoral to do that with what could actually happen to those children. So those are the difference there, folkways and mores. All right. Oh, yep, I was right. Next is taboo. All right. Taboo is a rule of behavior. And if you violate this, it calls for strong punishment. And with taboo, it's not necessarily the punishment is by law, it could be, but typically this is punished within society. And the best one to think of here is something like incest would be really bad, or like, uh, let's say, hitting on your mother-in-law would be taboo. And what would happen in those situations? First, incest. I mean, disgusting, right? But also, when people know about this, I mean, you're going to lose friends. I would imagine. Um, and then also like hitting on your mother-in-law. That most likely you're headed towards a divorce, or something pretty strong within your marriage at that point in time. Next is law, a norm that is formally defined and enforced by officials. I don't need to spend too much time on this one. Uh, Laws are norms, all right, but when it says it's formally defined, it means that it can be carried out also. So if a breaking of a law is then carried out by somebody that is official, quote unquote, official within the society, um, and that's who enforces those. So like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys understand what laws are, but those fall under the categories of norms. Okay, so what we're going to talk about too is sanctions within this circle. So sanctions are rewards and punishments used to encourage conformity to norms. Right? This is that goes that back to that idea of, we encourage conformity. So I can reward you for doing something that I want you to possibly do again. All right? Or I can punish you for a behavior that I would like for you to never do again. All right? So what we want to first talk about are what are formal sanctions. Formal sanctions are sanctions applied by officially designated persons. I put judges, teachers. So what is this? So let's talk about positive and negative. If you get the Medal of Honor, right? If you're in the military and you get the Medal of Honor, that's a positive formal sanction, right? That you're going to be awarded this by a government official for what you did, okay, in the service. And what does this do? How does this encourage conformity? Are you going to get another Medal of Honor? Probably not as that individual, but those peers around you who are also in the service see that behavior and see that it's rewarded, and you hope that then they also strive and mock those same behaviors. Now, negative, paying fines, right? Like parking tickets. You'll hear a lot of people, they go off to college or go different places, they'll start to get these parking tickets because they'll park their car illegally and they come back and they got like $90. And before you know it, they'll eventually stop, parking in those places. Well, you hope. All right. But obviously it's to get people to stop parking illegally. They send somebody to jail. There's a lot of layers to going to jail, and there's a lot of discussion we could have. But if we just look at it at face value, what's you being threatened with a jail sentence is to deter you from whatever behavior, all right, occurred. Like, let's say you're going to jail for dealing drugs. That's to deter you to deal drugs. And also, like, so if you see somebody that goes to jail for doing something, you might think twice when you do it. Once again, that encourages conformity within the society. So those are formal sanctions. And what's key about those are they applied by officially designated individuals, right? So if you get a detention or you get something from this quote unquote official person. Now, informal sanctions can be applied by anybody. So it's the same thing. It's a reward or punishment, but it's applied by most members of a group. So positive, like anybody can thank someone for doing something, right? And people enjoy it a bit. It's nice because when some people don't get thanked, right? They'll walk away. They didn't even say thank you because it's kind of that expectation, and somebody wants to be acknowledged for what they did, and they'll continue to do it. So without thanking someone, you might not have somebody do that for you again because last time they might remember that you did not. All right. So, but obviously there's two sides to what the thanking can do for you. And then negative, nobody's been to a movie for a while, but when you go to the movies and you get the shushes and you get the stares and whatever, though that can be handed out by anybody in that theater for the most part. And what is that one asking for you to do? Be quiet during a movie so they can enjoy it, and anybody can apply that sanction. But the whole goal of both types of sanctions is conformity. We want people to conform. If you think about what these sanctions within our society are set up for, it's for us to conform. And it helps us stay structured, all right? And it helps us kind of go down the same path, although we're all different, but it helps quite a bit. Now, values. What are values? These are broad ideas about what is good or desirable shared by people in a society. So just think about this. What do we value, right? Loyalty, hard work, honesty, integrity, all of that stuff. We value it, all right? And values help form the basis for our norms. Because if these are the things we value, the behaviors, the expected behavior, the norm, okay, should be surrounded around that value, like hard work. There's behavior at work like you don't sit on your butt and not do anything at work. That goes against the value of hard work. And so that is kind of like the violation of the norm, if that makes sense of how values form the basis for norms. We'll talk about this more in the lecture, if you guys actually watch this before, if you watch it at all. I guess if you just heard me say that, then you're actually watching it. So that's good. Okay, something we're going to talk about in the lecture, and I want you to think of it. Hopefully you get to see this before, is with our norms, our values, and all these ideas. I want you to think about, is America suffering from a moral decline? Because you're going to have an assignment to go with this post post the assignment that's with this one. So I want you to think about our behaviors, the way that we dress, the music we listen to, crime, drug use, say binge drinking. Binge drinking's been around for a while. Not necessarily binge drinking, just substance abuse. How about that? As opposed to drug use, binge drinking, just substance abuse in general, right? So when you add all this together, where is the chart trending? Is it more, are we getting better or are we getting worse in your eyes? And it's something to think about. But like I said, this one will be quick. I just wanted to run through those, kind of define those things for you because that's what your assignment is about. If you have any questions, let me know. You need to find 2 examples of each for the worksheet that is attached. So go out there. It's really easy. Look it up and you'll see it's like 2 examples of cultural norms, 2 examples of mores, folkways. There's a ton of stuff out there. So enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys.